I got a theory about perfection. I was going to keep it to myself, but I'm going to share it with you because it's a working theory and I want to share this with the world. Like I want to turn it into like a whole thing. But rather than keep it to myself, I'm going to share it with the LGL fam. Now, when I was at Creator Camp, I had this conversation with a couple of few people, but I'm still working on it. As you guys know, I spent a lot of time in Japan. I went to school there, then I came home. I got busy working for a couple of years. I hadn't gone. My friend had a wedding. I went back, and ever since my friend's wedding, I'm like 2-3 times a year, get me to Japan as soon as possible. I'm even thinking about trying to, get a part-time spot out there. Anyway, let's get into this perfection thing. I think I've figured out what is the difference. And anybody who's been to Japan, you'll understand this. And people who haven't, you've heard me talk about it ad nauseum till y'all probably sick of me. But, if you watch my Instagram channel, there's all these memes about how good things are and, how much people want to go back. And here's why. So in Japan, the way that they approach perfectionism is paradoxically different from the way that we approach perfectionism. See, in Japan, perfectionism is a process-driven ideology. Whereas in the West, I'll speak of the US particularly, we are outcome-oriented when it comes to perfection. Now let's make this make sense. In the West, the drive for perfectionism is about avoiding judgment. It's about avoiding failure. It's highly maladaptive. As a matter of fact, in my theory, I'm going to call it maladaptive perfectionism because it is being concerned with these unattainable ideas or unrealistic goals, and they lead people to depression, anxiety, OCD, low self-esteem, and all other sort of, thoughts where you're just constantly berating yourself. And it's because you're driven by this internal failure. This internal pressure to avoid failure. You're so trying not to be picked on. You're trying to look, say, more qualified than you actually are. And it kind of has nothing to do with anything worthwhile. In reality, the pursuit of perfection for us is often meaningless, but it's so outside centered. Like, what will somebody else think? In opposition, in Japan, there's a culture of kodawari. Kodawari. It's Kodawari. And if I felt like editing, I'd put it on the screen. But again, this is just the beta. Kodawari is about a strive for perfection. Even though in Japanese culture, there's an understanding that perfection is impossible. But through Kodawari, you can strive for it anyway. And then, of course, I've said this before. I used to, be a partner in a clothing company called Kaizo Speed Gear, and that was based off of Kaizen, which is about getting 1% better. Every time you do something, you get a little better. You do it some more, you get a little better. You do it some more, you get a little better. It's all about the practice. It's that practice through the everyday Kaizen that gets you through the process of Kodawari, which is to strive for perfection. And on top of all of this, there's an understanding through wabi-sabi that there is beauty in the imperfection. There is beauty in the impermanence of it all. Like, you're not going to be here in a little bit. So, and I mentioned this before through kintsugi, and you may have seen videos about it. If you drop a precious bowl, you get it taken to a, kintsugi artist. They put it back together with gold. And that new characteristic that crack as the wabi-sabi. For us, imagine when you see these videos on Instagram or YouTube where there's a table and it has make a natural wood table, right? And unfortunately, I'm in a hotel, so I can't show you one, but on my desk at home, I actually have it. There's a crack in a table. We fill it with epoxy or black epoxy, and that becomes part of the beauty, right? There's a knot in the wood. You fill that knot in. So the beauty actually lies in the imperfection. What makes a snowflake is, in theory, they're not the same. That's the uniqueness. Now, I believe the difference is the way our culture is structured. It's structured in a manner where the people of power are forever talking down to the people not in a position of power. And so we do everything in ourselves to try to impress these people. I believe, in a weird theory, our colonistic upbringings put us in that maladaptive perfection mindset through all myriad sorts of things. But let's not forget, indentured servitude or taking someone's land, pretending like you're smarter than them and trying to impose your religion upon them, making them feel less than because they can't do X. I think some of our history, and now, honestly, our current times, is what causes this maladaptive perfection to the point where women don't want to speak up often. People who know what they're talking about don't want to speak up often for fear of being chastised. Now, again, I'm going to formulate this a little better. And I don't know what this means for you as a creator. If you could understand that it's okay to strive for perfection, even though it's unobtainable, but don't block yourself over the idea of perfection. That alone will get you started. But if you can get your head wrapped around the concept of Kaizen, getting 1% better every time that you strive for that perfection, that gives you the grace and the ability to work hard enough to get better. And also understand that through wabi-sabi, sometimes you're going to make a mistake, and it's okay. You can find beauty in that perfection. So many dope inventions that we use every day were because of mistakes in the process. Turned out to be something else. I definitely wasn't a planned kid, I tell you that. But I wouldn't call myself a mistake. I'd call myself wabi-sabi. I don't know who needed to hear this, but if it was you, let me know in the comment section below. I'm going to keep working on this theory until I can tell it. It's going to be a TED Talk, dude. Y'all going to see me on a TED stage somewhere talking about the paradoxes, the paradoxicity. Let me think about it. Anyway, the difference between Western's approach to perfection and perfectionism and the Eastern approach to perfection and perfectionism, and how they differ and how we should study a little bit more about Kodawati. Yeah. If you like this video, press the like button, press the subscribe button, ring the notification bell. And right about now, the algorithm is going to share another video I think you should watch. And I agree with it.
I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, it's 5 and a horse, I'm ready for war, I'm coming for throats, to turn to a ghost, I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them talk, so I'm letting them talk. Gotta keep quiet, maneuver in silence to let them